Hi everyone, good afternoon. Alright, good to see you all. I'm in pretty good shape here. Okay, before I dive into my sharing today, I just want to thank Sebastian and Dr. Nick for having us, and also to Delene, who is manning the counter outside, for giving us this opportunity. So let me set the context first for what I'm about to share. So what is OHM? OHM is a local brand formulating and making ourselves all the zero plastic and zero waste personal care products, okay, that are high performance, low carbon footprint, and safe for long-term use, okay. So, and what we aim to deliver is peace of mind enjoyment to all our users, okay. So once upon a time, maybe circa 2017 or so, I had the privilege of enjoying a front row seat to running a beauty startup, and it wasn't my company at the time; it was somebody else's. I literally saw, the end-to-end process and the entire operations, right? Insights into those, establishing connections with all of the partners and so on and so forth. So that kind of put me in that position to observe the industry as a whole and its entire evolution. So I'm pretty sure everybody has used personal care products before, right? Who has not? Okay, thank goodness. Okay, so two things really jumped out at me when it comes to this industry very quickly. So first thing is harmful chemicals are universally deployed in almost all formulations, whether you're talking about skin care, hair care, body care. Almost every product out there, every conventional product out there has some component of harmful chemicals. Okay, and the effect is amplified as you use it on a daily basis through the years. Okay, the second thing is almost universal use of single-use plastic containers. Okay, this one you will not run away from. So something like this. And so I thought, with the pollution, the environmental crisis that we are in, so we ought to be able to offer something a little bit different for the consumers. Now I think we have a much better position because a lot of people are getting into this space, the sustainable space. But at that point in time, there were quite a bit less, okay? And what we tried to do to make, in terms of making a difference, my starting point basically is to employ stewardship, okay? To have the mindset of stewardship as foremost instead of an afterthought, okay? Because typically, when it comes to conventional products, most businesses will just say, oh, come up with something, sell. We think about consequences later, okay? Unfortunately, when you have single-use stuff like these that you need to throw away after one use because it is designed for single use, it is purposely designed for single use. So how do you deal with the waste? Anybody knows what happens to all the plastic you throw away into the bin? What happens after that? Anyone knows? Yes, correct. Gentlemen, thank you. Most of it will be incinerated, yeah? That reduces the volume by 90%, but you still end up with ash. You need to push some. That goes ultimately into Semakau. So, it's something that we're going to have to contend with. It still goes into a landfill. It does not disappear into thin air. Okay, so this is what I sort of started to think about, and also this whole thing about, I think for me, not so much for myself, but it is about leaving the world a better place for the next generation. Okay, there is a next generation to come. So, I looked at it and I said, okay, there's of course there are better ways of doing things. There's a little bit of different way of doing things. So some of you may be familiar with this framework called the 5 R's of sustainability. When we talk about reducing, reusing, and so on and so forth, and the last one is recycle. Okay, so when we use single waste, it's about ultimately, and also as an afterthought, how do we recycle what we use? Okay, in case you don't know, most plastic are actually commercially not recyclable. Okay, it's theoretically yes, but commercially no. So, so what we try to do is to design, everything inbuilt as a feature, not a bug. Basically, things that we focus on reducing, right? Reducing and also reusing. So this bottle is designed to be reusable, very robust, and I've even had customers from very early days back in 20. They're still using the same bottles, they just get refills from us. Okay? And obviously for this one, when you finish using it just disappears, it goes on. So this is what we try to do when instead of coming up with a product first and then trying to deal with the consequences of what happens after you finish using it, we build the design, we design it such that as you use it, the whole sustainability aspect is inbuilt into the design. So, and that is how we try to capture this whole stewardship, the spirit of stewardship in our whole business. Okay, so and this interestingly has had some little nice positive side effects that help us to build a little bit more resilient business. Why? Because you may have heard recently, because of the geopolitical crisis, certain businesses, they ran out of certain ink, petroleum-based ink, so they have to change their packaging to black and white. Right? So we, in terms of our business, we do only natural and plant-based formulations. So there are no petroleum-based stuff, whether it's in the ingredients or in the packaging itself. So we've been able to ride this whole resource constraint for the past 2 years quite well. So I think sometimes when we, my takeaway is that oftentimes when we decide to do the right thing, it inbuilds itself a certain level of resilience that enables us to ride through some of the crises that most businesses, most conventional businesses that chooses the easy way out may get trapped at some point, okay, due to unexpected crises or so forth. Okay, so I'm quite thankful for that, because that thinking has enabled us. And to be honest, the whole operational commercial design of home, we are not a social enterprise. I'm very conscious of that. We are a for-profit organization, and that is with a specific intention, because we need to be able to we need to be commercially viable in order to keep doing this year after year. So 2 months ago, we went up to Shanghai. I was catching up with an old friend. She was an ex-colleague. She had gotten into the e-commerce business as well after she left corporate. And she was But her e-commerce after 3 years, she tried to scale as quickly as possible, but it wasn't viable, so she had to close it down. And when you were talking, she said, "Oh, after 6 years, you are still at it." I said, "Yeah, because we inbuilt certain financial discipline, and we just approach it as for profit and being very selective in what we do." So I just want to encourage everyone. So if you're in business or you're thinking of starting a business, think about first, stewardship and sustainability. And second thing is take a thought to doing what is right, because it inbuilds certain aspects of resilience into your business. I think you will be quite thankful for it in the long run. Thank you very much.